Hi, this is Eileen from Teach with ND, and today we're going to talk about how to choose an ADHD side hustle that doesn't burn you out. And of course, I'm talking to you teachers, and I know, money is not stretching as far as it used to for a lot of us, and so some of you might be thinking about, what is something you can do to help increase your income, but you also are constrained with your time and energy. And so that's what this is about. And so, um, a lot of us, we set out with great intentions to pick a side hustle that's going to pay well and um, add to the quality of our life. And then we get started and we realize, oh my gosh, like I don't have time for this. I don't like I'm already stressed enough. I can't possibly add one more thing. But there are some things that you can think about as you're getting into this. And also if you already have a side hustle or a small business, these are some pointers that you could think about that I hope would help you to feel better in your day-to-day life, and allow you to increase that income without burning out. Alrighty, so just moving my notes. Okay, so what I want you to think about are what I call burnout proof filters. And, of course, somebody can burn out just about anything. I'm sure a lot of you who are watching can relate. I know that I have burned out before. Um, and so, obviously you have to find what works for you and, take all of this um, with the assumption that, you can and should adjust these suggestions and find really what works for you. Um, okay. Sorry, I had to readjust my screen. I have a new setting I'm trying out. So thanks for your patience. So as I was saying, we have some burnout proof filters. And so the first one I want you to think about is your current energy levels. So, and with that, when are your peak energy times? So like if you think about your day, you know, when is it exactly during your day that you feel the most alert or personable or um happy? When is your mood the best? Okay, and then be thinking about what are the types of activities that leave you feeling good versus draining you even further. um so if you are teaching in a classroom, um for example, like the end of the school day, are you totally fried, and do you need some alone time? In which case, you want to be thinking about that as you pick your side hustle, to be able to find one that maybe you could work more alone in, or, one-on-one, that kind of thing. Um, so you'll get a handle on your current energy levels and the things that, energize you versus drain you, basically. Um, And then with that, as you look at, different side hustle options, think about what sounds good to you. So, excuse me, are you more of a creative person? Would you like to be doing something in the creative field, such as, um, designing visuals, designing templates, or, lots of other things you can do with your creative energy? Um, Are you okay with working one-on-one with someone? In which case, have you considered tutoring? That can be a pretty high-paying side gig that teachers can start without too much extra prep work. Um, of course, you'll need to have a plan going into it, but you don't have to go out and learn brand new skills necessarily to start tutoring. And then also if you enjoy, um, visual creation type activities, you can also look into selling and creating digital products. So that's the first filter, which we're calling energy, but it encompasses, you know, quite a bit in there. And so filter two is the social battery. Um, does teaching already drain you, socially? It is a extremely social job by nature. And I know some of us, maybe you feel more drained if you're, in a larger group for an extended period of time. So as you're looking into side hustles, think about, do you want to work with people, like a lot of people, or are you okay with working by yourself? Um, or, would you prefer working by yourself? In which case, something like blogging, which is what I'm doing, can be quite interesting. Of course, it takes a long time for it to become profitable sometimes, depending on what your niche is and how consistent you are. Um, but that is an option. And then the third filter is really important for neurodivergent minds, teachers with ADHD or autism or ADHD, which is what are you interested in? So, whatever you're interested in, that's what's going to light you up and give your brain those happy hits of dopamine that it really wants. So, you know, um, it needs to be something that you like to do. And that can also include things that you care deeply about, causes that you support. Um, and because, that commitment is there and it's something that will motivate you to continue with this side hustle that you start. So um what are those kinds of topics that interest you that you feel like you could go on and on about forever? And also what are things that people come to you for help with? Friends, family members, coworkers, what are they coming to you to ask you for help with that maybe you have kind of not spent too much time appreciating about yourself, which is super common. But to take stock of those things too, that even if maybe they don't feel like the most exciting necessarily for you, if they are things that people are asking you about, it means that you are good at it, and um and maybe as you go into the side hustle, like it might be nice to have something like that that may not be the most exciting necessarily for you, but it's also something that's pretty easy for you to do. um for example, people come to me a lot of times for sorry, my arm is disappearing with this green screen. But people come to me a lot of the time for help with writing or proofreading things. And it's the kind of thing that it's like easy for me. And I sometimes forget that, that's a skill of mine, that's a strength of mine. And so for sure you have things like that too. Um, somebody might ask you, hey, what do you think about this? Maybe you're good at helping somebody like talk through problems, brainstorm solutions, or um, there's a lot of skills that sometimes we forget about that we have. So, in general, as you look to increase your income outside of the classroom and, maybe even starting to pave the way for, leaving the classroom one day, these are some things that you can start kind of thinking about. And then, again, just to remember, the best side hustles are gonna fit your energy, your social preference and interest. And then of course, this goes without saying, but it obviously needs to line up with your schedule, which with teaching full-time out of the home is quite limited. Um, excuse me. And also how much extra cash do you need to come up with? So those are also very important for you to keep in mind. So these are just some general pointers, and if you are able to spend some time on my blog, I go into a lot more depth with different topics related to this. And I'll be putting a link uh, in the YouTube description to the post that goes with this video. So I hope you can check that out. And I wish you all the best in your journey. And I hope to talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.